Okay, this month, because of some time constrictions that I've run into with everything going on with the coronavirus and stuff, I am going to be recording this how-to video for the Sew What Box Terry Cloth Travel Towel. It's going to be live and unedited, so I hope that you guys enjoy this, and I hope that I don't make too big of a fool of myself. But anyway, we are going to have fun. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is open up your kit. You've got your cotton outside piece. This is going to be the towel terry cloth inside liner. Your thread, you're going to want to make sure and get your bobbin and your machine threaded with this thread that's included. Go ahead and open this guy up and let's get our sewing machine needle changed out to this brand new one. And then we'll use this piece of elastic later. Also today, we're going to need a ruler and this awesome disappearing ink pen that came in that kit, or in the Sew What box this month. And I'm so excited to use this with you. We can draw on fabric with this, and the exposure to just the air makes it go away. There's more directions on the back of the package that it came in for this pen, so you might want to read that too, but right now we're just going to get down to it and start having some fun. So, first thing we're going to do is we need to pin these pieces of fabric together, just like a big giant square. And if your fabric is extremely wrinkly from being put in this box and shipped to you, you can go ahead and iron it out flat right now if you want. Make sure your iron is set on a cotton setting. I am not going to be using steam today, but you can use steam if you want. And I'm just leaving it on a medium hot setting. All right, so these squares are a little tricky because it's 18 inches by 20 inches. So they're going to look really similar, but one edge is too long. So make sure you get the right edges together when you're laying these out. And we're going to want to make sure that we put the right side of the fabric towards the other fabric. So this is a dull print, and this is the side that I want to see when I'm done. So I'm going to make sure that I sandwich that side in towards this one. Now we're just going to pin around, and you're probably going to want to use quite a few pins because this terry cloth is kind of stretchy and it can be kind of a pain in the bottom to sew around if it's not pinned in place really good. So I'm doing one pin about every width of my hand, and I'm kind of just making sure that the corners are lined up pretty good. Now, my corner over here is not lined up perfect. See, there's a little bit off, but I don't want to get a wrinkle over here. So I'm just going to leave it like that and remember that when I sew, and make sure that I sew and catch both of these. Okay, we're going to go all the way around here. So let me try and pin super fast. Normally, I edit this and make it look like I'm pinning really, really fast. But I'm not going to have time to edit this month. What have you guys been up to during the coronavirus lockdown? Have you been doing anything interesting or just kind of staying at home? I'd love to hear your comments down below. On the end of this page, we have an area for comments, and you can totally call or email or Facebook message me as well. And any questions that you have, you can leave in the comment section too. Okay, once we get all of this pinned, it should be pretty flat, not really any wrinkles. We are going to need to leave a hole somewhere so that we can turn this right side out. So I'm just going to go halfway in the middle of one of these sides, and I'm going to leave about my hand spread out width of a hole. So I'm going to go like this, and so that I remember, I'm going to put in some backwards pins. That way I don't accidentally sew through the hole that I'm supposed to leave. So I'm going to start sewing here, and I'm going to go all the way around like this, and end sewing here, leaving this part open. So let me get my sewing machine over here. There we go. You guys can see pretty good. So I'm going to go just past this first backwards pin here, and I'm going to put my presser foot down. I'm going to, leave a seam allowance here between the edge of the fabric and the needle of about 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch. You don't have to give it a giant seam allowance, but you just need to make sure that you are catching both pieces of fabric. Now, it's going to be easier if you sew this with this printed cotton side towards the fabric, or towards the sewing machine, because this flat fabric slides along this sewing machine a lot easier than this terry cloth. If you do it with the terry cloth side down, then you are going to get a lot of bunches and stuff as it's trying to slide across the sewing machine. So I'm going to hold my threads so that they don't suck back up into the machine and start going. I do want to make sure that I reverse stitch right here. And then I'm going to go all the way to the end here. Once I get close, I'm going to make sure my needle is down. And then I can just pick up my presser foot and pivot this around. Now I'm going to be sewing over pins. It might be a good idea to pull the pins out as you go, because you don't want to hit a pin with the sewing machine needle. It will break. And again, I'm going to put this needle down, pick up that presser foot, and just pivot around. Now I know that this corner was a little close on the edge when I pinned this, so I'm going to sew a little bit further and make sure that I actually caught both pieces of fabric. I'm going to check here, and it looks like I got both pieces, so that's good. If I wouldn't have gotten both pieces of fabric sewn with the stitches, I would have just had to go back and redo that corner a little bit further in from the edge so that I would have been able to catch both. There we go. I made sure that I reverse stitched when I got to this other backwards needle, so that we can pick up our piece and trim off all these little threads. Make sure you trim your threads. A lot of people, as they start out, forget to trim threads, and then it becomes very messy. Okay, I'm going to pull all my pins out here, and then we're going to flip this thing right side out and then go to the ironing board. So I'm just going to stick my hand in this hole here, and I'm going to use this finger to push that corner in so that it's really sharp and pointed in. And I'm going to go around all the corners before I flip it. Okay, now that I've got all those poked in, I can just grab one with my inside hand and pull it right out. There we go. Now we're going to go to the ironing board. So I'm going to adjust this camera really quick here. Look how slick that is. I might have to do this every time. I do need my pins. And we are going to just start out here at one corner. I'm going to start on the edge that does not have the hole that we left because I want to end at that hole. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get this seam right on the very edge. So I'm just kind of like picking that around until this gets flat with the seam on the very edge. And then I'm just going to kind of let my iron do some work here. Kind of like a paperweight. You don't want to leave it on there too long if your iron's super hot because it could burn it. But I keep mine at a little bit of a lower heat so that I can just let it sit there and let some of the weight help with this press. And as I work around, I'm going to put a couple pins in here. It's just going to help us when we go around and top stitch this to hold it in place. So again, I'm going to do it probably not as often as I pinned when we were sewing the front to back, but probably 2 or 3 pins per side. And I'm just going to work my way around here. So now I've got these 2 corners done. And I'm going to roll this guy back a little bit so we can get the center part. And I'm just going to work around. Have you gotten a chance to check out our new Facebook group that is built just for you guys? It's only open to Sew What Box subscribers. And you will be able to get exclusive content. I'm hoping to just make it like a community where I can get to talk to you guys a lot more and learn more about you and the projects you're working on and your sewing journey. And I think it sounds super fun. It'll be kind of like an online sewing club so that we can meet other people who sew and we can talk about the projects we're doing and learn new tips and tricks. I am so excited and I would love for you guys to check it out and join. I'd love to see pictures of you guys making this project and even of the finished project. And there's a link on this page up in the first part of this page where you can click and be taken to that. Okay, now I've worked all the way around to where this hole is. I'm just going to pinch right here on the edges of this hole and pull tight and see how that automatically rolls the fabric into the inside. Now we're just going to pretend that there's a seam there like we've been doing, and I'm just going to iron that flat. Once it's ironed flat pretty good, we are going to need to put a couple pins in here to hold it together. And what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch all the way around this thing so that it will close that hole and catch all that extra fabric and keep that in there. But before we sew, we're going to need to find where our elastic went. Because we're going to need to put that in here as well. So here's our elastic. What you're going to do is take this and fold it over on itself so it's in half. And then this is going to go into this hole in the center of your hole, which should be in the center of this long length. And then we're just going to stick another pin through that to hold it all in here, kind of like an elastic sandwich. Boom! Now it's got a tail. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the sewing machine and sew all this together. So let me get this all situated over here. Okay. That's pretty good, right? I think I had this thing closer for you. Perfect. Okay. Now I am going to still sew with this this side down because that's so much easier on this sewing machine. And this time I'm going to start in the corner. We do want to have a very narrow area between the needle and the edge of the fabric here, because when we sew down here, we want to catch this and close it closer to the edge here, the fold, so that this raw piece doesn't come out and unravel. We want all that to stay inside. So I'm going to hold on to my threads again, and then remember to reverse stitch. Now this might get a little lumpy, so you might have to help your sewing machine along a little. And the way that I help my sewing machine along is I just grab back here and tug gently. Now when we get to this hole, we want to make sure that we are sewing on both pieces of fabric. I am going to take the pins out this time as I sew. And make sure you get this elastic really good. Maybe even back up over it once. There we go. Now we're through the hole. We will check that when we are done and make sure that we've gotten all the pieces. Let's just continue around this. Oh, and look at what happened, guys. I totally ran out of bobbin. So it stopped sewing. Luckily, I have a pre-wound bobbin here. And I'm just going to drop it in. And once I've gotten that in there, I'm going to hold on to here, make the needle go down and come back up, and then grab that loop. Okay, so since I ran out of bobbin back here, I'm going to need to start sewing back behind where this stitching starts. I'm going to start back up and go again. got to the end, so I reverse stitched a few stitches, and I'm going to make sure that I've cut all my threads off. And we're going to look up here where this hole was, and look, we can see the stitching on this side. So I caught this side, and we can see it on that side, so I caught that. That's in there pretty tight, and we can't open that up and see anything in there, so that looks like it's done pretty good. I'm going to come back here to where my bobbin ran out, and I'm going to cut those little threads. And now is where we need our ruler. What you're going to do is you are going to fold this bottom part up, let's see, 4 inches from the bottom. Okay, so that's about 4 inches. If you want your pockets to be a little deeper, you can go ahead and roll this up a little bit too. What we're going to end up doing is have pockets down here where your toothbrush and stuff can come in like this. And then this top part is going to be able to fold down over it and hold it together as we roll it all up. So I think that I'm going to make my pockets about this deep. So I'm going to pin over here, make sure that this edge is lined up. I don't want this to be like super crooked. Can you see that? I want it to be pretty straight. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it right there. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. And I'm going to make sure that my measurements match. So on this side, I'm 4 inches and 3/4 of an inch. This side, I'm the same. So I'm going to line this side up and go ahead and put a pin in it. Now we're going to put some pins all the way through here just to hold it in place because we are going to make pockets. So now is when we're going to pull out our disappearing ink pen, and we need this and our guess the cap doesn't really stay on the back of that, so don't lose the cap. We're going to use our ruler to make some lines of where we want pockets. So I want a pocket right here. See, we can see that purple line. And then I'm going to have a bigger pocket here. Maybe I'm going to take my shampoo or something with me. And then I'm going to do another little pocket and another little pocket. Okay. So, now that I've got those lines done, I'm just going to take and sew down here along the edge. So we don't need a line there, and then sew and follow these lines. On each line, I'm going to reverse stitch here, on there when I'm done. And that is going to just reinforce the pocket so that it doesn't rip as easy. Okay, that looks pretty good to you guys. And we're just going to go for it. Now this really is going to get thick. So you might have to help your sewing machine get up over it to get that foot there. And you might have to tug a little bit on the back here like I said earlier. So just start slow. Okay, I've gone a couple, and I'm going to go back. And I'm going to take my pins out as I go. Okay, there's one. There's two. There we go. Sometimes it's hard to get this presser foot up here. There's the next one. Okay, and the last one, I'm going to do backwards. That way I don't have all that fabric over here. Cool, now all that is left to do is trim all these threads off and pull out all the rest of these pins. Now we're going to do the back threads. Sweet. Oh, one more. Okay. Now we are done. So this is how this works. I'm just going to grab what I have, which is awkward. I've got a pen, scissors, and these wire cutters. So not really what we're going to be carrying in this toothpaste holder, but we can put them in like this. There we go. I'm going to put that in the skinny one and this in the fat one. And then this is adjustable, so it rolls down to however high you want it. And then we start at the end that doesn't have elastic, and we can just roll it up however it goes. And then once we get it all rolled up, this piece of elastic goes all the way around. And there you've got the coolest toothpaste and toothbrush and toiletry holder for camping or travel or anything. Woohoo! Good job, guys. I hope you had fun. Please let me know if you liked the way that I did this video or if you prefer it when it's edited. I'd love to hear your feedback, and again, make sure that you go ahead and join that Facebook group. I really hope that my head is in the shot right now because I don't have it on selfie mode, so I don't really know because I can't see the other side of my phone. So, thank you guys for sewing along with me. This was so fun.